how do I just replenish inventory over and over again and like not go to stores? Because that's all I did. I used to go to stores after stores. So, then I realized that I like, okay, well, can I just buy something in bulk from somewhere? So I looked into liquidations and pallets, and I was like, that looked sketchy to me because then you had to buy a whole bunch of pallets. Not sketchy, but kind of like arbitrage because it's a bunch of pallets, and then you had to like check everyone, and half of it would be bad, and the other
You
half
don't
would
know
be
what is in it.
okay. Yeah, so I was like, that to me is also a guess. I don't want to guess. I just want the most boring, guaranteed way to make money. Like, what's the most boring? Like, because I had enough. I had enough failures.
You wanted the predictability. You wanted
Yeah.
that reoccurring cash flow. You wanted to know that the money was going to keep coming. You didn't want ups and downs, kind of like the arbitrage.
Yeah, and also because the predictability means you can plan things. You can plan your rent. You can plan your life. You could do so much. You can hire once you have predictability. If you don't have predictability, then it's hard. And also, I wanted to be able to work, to have things going without me working. I've been working so hard, and coming from the sales background, commission background, well, like the moment you stop, you're done. So I was like, I wanted to just do something once and then it just continue going forever. Like,
got it.
That's just the lazy mentality that I have. So I started looking into wholesale in 2015. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to sign up. I'm going to just Google wholesale. And there was I signed up for a bunch of directories. I don't know if you know Sale Who and Worldwide Brands, but those, I thought the moment I signed up for that, I was like, oh, wholesale directories, you just have to pay us $69 for a year. We can go in, you can see a list of suppliers and then just make, plug and play, and you make a bunch of money. And I watched the video, their sales video, and I was like, this is amazing. And I told my wife right after that, I'm like, hey, I'm not going to the stores anymore. We're going to make $10,000 a month from this profit easily. Like I told her, it's going to be an easy
it's going thing. Down. I got a plan.
And the plan was I just have to talk. I knew I had to talk to, go through I have to have like 1,000 SKUs. If I had 1,000 SKUs that sold one thing, I make $5 on that one thing. Yep. Like that would make it. So I was like, let's do it. So I started looking in, and I'm like, man, going through all the price lists, and I'm like, nothing's profitable, I don't know, like this is not gonna make any money, like this is horrible. And I was like, man, I gotta be a better way. So then I realized, like, why don't I just call the brand directly? Like there'll be more margin, and I'll just call the brand and do it. So I started to make a big list of brands, and the moment I was doing that, I saw Wholesale Formula popped up, and I'm like, what's this? And then some guys started talking, Dan, Eric, and started talking, and I'm like, okay, like you're talking about what I'm right about to do. So I'm like, I was like a little bit at the time, I was like, well, like I'm about to do this. Like I kind of was like a little prideful into the sense where I was like, I don't really need their help. Like I don't need their help. I could do it. And like, but like, let me just see what it's about. And, I kind of like don't want the competition, like, but I was like, all right, whatever. Let me just take the plunge. So these are just some unknown guys. I'd never heard of them before. I'd never seen them in a Facebook group. And it was the most expensive decision I ever made. All my courses have been like $25 courses up to this point. And I'm like, what? Because that was all that was out there. And then I took the course, but really, I bought the course. But really, I took like just about 2 modules of the course because I didn't really need to know like how to do this and that. Like I already had the concept in my brain. The one thing I was missing was just like, the community. The moment I got in there, it was a community of about 150 people who were doing the same thing as me. And Dan and Dylan and Eric, they were just any stupid question I had, like a dumb question, like what is a PO? Like they're asking me for a PO. What do I do? Like things like that. Like you could Google my name, not Google, but search my name in the group eventually, whoever is in the group, and just see like the dumb questions I used to ask. And they would just answer me in like these answers that were like blog post answers because they just really wanted to help. And they still do that after 4 years. They still do that. And that's because they really care. And but literally just that, if all I did was answer one of my questions, it was worth the money because people don't realize that it's not hard. Like wholesale is not hard. It's just required. You call people, you call brands, and then you buy their stuff and you sell it on Amazon. Like that's really what it is. The hard part is getting the confidence to do it. And like when you're in a situation and knowing that you have somebody else that can help you in your corner, like you don't have to know all the answers.
Hey, what's up everybody? Real quick, sorry to interrupt the video. I wanted to let you know, if you are interested in learning more about wholesale and if you want to start your own wholesale business, pause this video right now and download these 2 free guides. So there's 2 guides that we're giving away 100% free, and our good friends Dan and Dylan of the Wholesale Formula created them, and they've done over $25 million in sales over the last 5 years selling wholesale products on Amazon. The first guide is their 6-step process to starting a wholesale business. It's simplified, it's step-by-step. If you're interested in wholesale, download this guide. It's really gonna help you. And our second free guide is our product sourcing checklist. So, in order to be successful, you're gonna have to source your first product. You're gonna have to put your first deal together with a supplier. It's not as hard as people make it out to be. You're definitely gonna wanna get this checklist. It'll break down everything you need to do step by step to source that first product. So head over to RaikenProfit.com/free guides. I'll put a link down below. Again, pause this video, grab them, download them, take a look at them because it's gonna help you a ton on this journey. So before you watch any more videos and all that stuff, download it and then be sure to go through it tonight. It'll really, really add a lot of value to your life. So with that being said, let's get back to the video and be sure to take action.
You just need to act like you know half the answers, be confident, and then you can still get help from people in your network. And I was adding them to my network, and at the time I didn't know that was what I was doing. I thought I was buying a course, but I literally looked at 2 modules, like one on something and one on how to make the website, and that's all. But I know a lot of people do watch the courses, and the courses are updated all the time, and they're great. But yeah, like I really that in 2016 was when I took that course, and I really dove in. And that same year I moved. I was living in New York at the time, and I knew it was going to be really successful. So I moved from New York to Florida because, like, taxation and all that. But I told myself I don't have any income, so I could do RA and OA on the side and do wholesale also. But then I knew my own capacity. Like I knew that, yeah, that sounds good in theory. Like, yeah, why stop something that's working? And I'm not telling anyone to do this,
right.
But I knew, like, okay, arbitrage is not going to be around. So why do it? Just completely give it up. And just like, if it takes me 2 years to figure out wholesale by splitting my focus, like I rather just not split my focus and it take me 6 months. Like, I don't care what it takes. Like, I'll not make money for 6 months. So during those 6 months, my wife was like saying, you need to do away. Like, because I had so many good sources. Like I gave my sources away to like, friends and family, and they were able to make like thousands and thousands just by doing nothing because I just giving them the sources. And so at that time in 2016, if you guys had messaged me if you want sources, like I probably would have given you. So, but
bolos.
Yeah, I had so many bolos back then. But anyway, so yeah, like I literally quit cold turkey, and then I went all into it. But it's still with their help. Even with their help, like it really took me like 6 or 7 months to really like get a hang of it. But then month 7 to 9 is when I went from like 20K a month. Well, first it was 0, and then from 0 to 20K after like 7 months, which was hard. But then everything started to click. Like I perfected my pitch. I knew what to say. I had the confidence. Like that was the built up. And I was really believing what was going to happen. And then from month 7 to month 9 is when I was doing 80,000, 90,000 a month. So it just completely just went from like literally like I could have quit. Like this is horrible. Like it's not worth it. To like just going straight to a 7-figure run rate. And after I did that, I was like, wow, this is real. I need to stop. I need to stop actually just doing wholesale in the way I'm doing wholesale, because I knew that just doing wholesale is also a form of arbitrage, because it's like you contact a brand, you buy their stuff, and then sell it. Like it's an easier arbitrage, and I call it in my group wholesale arbitrage. And a lot of people talk about that right now, and they talk about it like, quit your job, do wholesale arbitrage. I mean, I wouldn't quit my job and do wholesale arbitrage. I would just, keep your job and do wholesale arbitrage unless you're doing it really big. But just know that it's not permanent. And I started to think like, what's permanent? And nothing's permanent, but like I think one of the most permanent things, even more permanent than private label, which everyone seems to call the holy grail, is that, you know, when you build real relationships with people and you're not hiding behind a computer all the time, and you build a relationship with the supplier and you know they're a human being and you can, you know, shake their hands and look them in the eye and talk to them, you know, that's a relationship, you know. So people complain about race to the bottom. Well, if you're doing arbitrage, by definition, it's going to race to the bottom because the markets go to equilibrium. It is by definition. So I always, you know, chuckle when I see people not know that race to the bottom is the name of the game of arbitrage. But when you have a relationship, there is no race to the bottom, you know, because all you have to do, and there's no such thing as bad margins, because you just tell your wholesale supplier, hey, I have no margin. Can we have a map pricing? Can we start a map pricing that gives us more margin? Can you give me a better price or something? Can you pay us a little bit for advertising? Like, those doors open up when you have a relationship. Like, so many people do wholesale and they're like, yeah, I'm scanning price lists, I'm not finding anything. And I'm like, even during, you know, they're doing the wholesale formulas. I'm like, well, yeah, wholesale formulas has been around for 4 years. Like, the days of scanning price lists are over. You know, I used to scan price lists and that was kind of hard, but I wouldn't say it's over, because it's still you could still do it, but just know
it's not as easy, kind of like retail arbitrage.
Right. But again, keep in your head, if you're doing it, you can do it, but just know that what do you think is gonna happen in 3 years? Like, in 3 years, like, it's probably not good. Like, you and 500 other people are gonna be doing it, so something is gonna happen, right? The brand is gonna have an exclusive seller. So it's like, okay, well, if that's the case, like, do we have to figure out a way to work closer with the brand? So that's why when I started our first year, I had about 40 or 50 brands that I was ordering from. And then I basically just consolidated all. I was like, look, we need to do exclusives with you guys. And it's hard to do exclusive. A lot of people say they try, and it is really hard. It's like getting married. Like, you can't just expect that to happen. Like, you have to have shown some value. You have to demonstrate that you are not like everybody else. Like, if you're asking to get married to this brand and this brand has 7 other suitors, yeah, if the brand has no one else, like, they'll take you, but they're probably a horrible brand. Like, but if a brand has 7 or 8 other sellers, like, why would they take you? Like, you have to really separate yourself, and not just, you can't just place one order and ask for exclusive like that. Like, we were doing that for over a year of track record. And then we started, out of our 36 brands, we whittled it down and we got 8 exclusives. We dropped all of our other brands, and our, you know, revenue grew, even though we dropped SKUs. And it's hard to do that because it's like, I'm losing money. And, you know, coming from the hustle mindset, it's like, well, that's money though. Like, why drop it? And it's because it's like, those guys don't want exclusive. And typically brands that are I noticed that are ran by second generation owners, they're worried a lot about preserving what their parents built. They're not trying to like kick off all their dealers and start something fresh. It's you have to know going into it that you can't treat them differently than you treat a brand that is a founder. Founders are ready to go. They're energetic. But second generation, they're different. So it's like, there's so many little things that you have to know. Like, it's really psychology and a mind game when you're talking to people, when you're building relationships. Relationship is empathy, learning what the other person wants. But like, nobody does that, because when you come from the world of hustle, it's like, there's nothing you've done so far in the hustle world to really learn like how to build a relationship. Like, when you flip on eBay, like, there's no relationship. You can just hide behind your computer and do it. Like, I did it, and I thought I wanted to be a billionaire doing that, but I realized like it's not possible. You know, like, you can't always hide. So like, when do you make the switch before, you know, things, you know, don't work out? So literally all we do going forward is we just try to build relationships with brands. That's our approach. That's what we take. Relationship, exclusive, and semi-exclusive. And that's about it. That's kind of like, you know, how we started and where we're at right now. Like, we don't view things as an arbitrage play ever, because that's short term and not really, you know, something I can bank on.
That's awesome, man. Really appreciate the story. If you guys are enjoying this video so far, definitely be sure to smash that like button and also leave a comment. Super inspiring story. And I know a lot of you guys can relate to this. I'm certainly relating a lot to it. And it's just been really cool to kind of just hear, like, man, like that part where you said you would just be reaching, like climbing ladders and like pulling Legos off the top. Like that was even before my time, man. I wasn't even doing it then. Like it just super crazy, man. So, couple more questions, cause I know we're getting to that time. What are the biggest challenges people need to be on the lookout for, when they make that transition over and they're getting started with wholesale that first 90 to 180 days? What are a couple big things or mistakes that you made that maybe you can help the audience with?
You know, what I know that will cripple a lot of people making that transition is, you know, not knowing how much money they need to invest up front. Like, yes, sure, any business you can start with no money. Like if anybody asks me, like, can you start a business with no money, or how little can you get started? Like that's really not the question. Like if you're asking how little does it take to get started with something, you're probably not ready. With arbitrage, yeah, sure, you could start something little, but like if you're trying to start an actual business based on relationships, like the answer should be, I'm gonna say it takes everything. It takes your whole life. Like you should be willing to dedicate everything to it, or else don't do it. Like I'm not sure why you'd want to do it. And if you're doing eBay and arbitrage and Amazon for a while, like you'd make that jump because you know how hard it is. Like people say the pain of, you know, people only change when the pain of change is easier than the pain of staying the same. So some of you will be like, how little can I do to get started? And for you guys, I'd say don't get started. Like just do what you're doing. You're probably liking what you're doing. Just keep doing it. I mean, it's fun. Like I go into stores still, and like I just get so much PTSD and flashback. Like I just want to, I just want to climb on. I just want to scan this. Like I want to, like this is on sale. Like, but I have to stop myself. And then I'm like, because even though it's been so long, because it's so fun. Like it's fun. So if you're having fun, like do it. Just take that one advice I gave earlier about like don't spend your money on, like pretend that you're poor. Like take all your money and invest it. Like even if you invest it in like treasury notes or CDs, like that's better than spending it, because too many people think that they're business owners when, if you have a transactional business, your job is very similar to an athlete or a commission-based person. Like it's temporary. Just treat it that way, and you know, put the money aside. But to get started, capital wise, I would say like you should, if you're doing retail arbitrage and all that stuff, like you should have $10,000 saved up. Like if you don't have 10, you know, in my group I say 4,000 to 6,000, but like at this point, like I'm going to increase that and say like you should have $10,000 saved up, because you're going to make some bad choices early on. Like in terms of buying, you're going to buy the wrong inventory, and that's the only way you're going to know what to buy the right inventory. Or, you know, you're going to make some mistakes. So we want to spread it off a couple brands. So it's like you have to give yourself that margin for error, because again, wholesale is not hard. You're calling a brand, or you're talking to a brand, and you're trying to sell their stuff. Like that's not hard. What's hard is when you run into an obstacle and just don't know how to react to that obstacle. You're like, oh my gosh, I failed. I'm a failure. This doesn't work. Like, and then you say, you know what, I'm going to keep going. And then you fail again. And then you're like, this definitely doesn't work, but I'm going to try one more time because I saw a motivational video today. And then, and then you get hit again. But like, you're going to, like, when I got started, like every day I felt like I was getting punched in the stomach.
Wow.
Like just because of, you know, bad buys. Like there was one thing I bought. There was one thing I found some suppliers. I was like, yes, this is great. I invested like $12,000 in it, which was like 90%, 80% of my budget. I was like, this is going to be amazing. I'm going to be rich. And then like a week later, all of it got tagged for hazmat, and I had to like, I was like, wow, the thing I put my hopes and dreams in, I was gonna like retire on this. I was like, it all went to hazmat. I mean, I'm proof for hazmat now, but at the time, this was years ago when hazmat was like not even.
That was a big thing, yeah.
Yeah, it was not even. You couldn't even get hazmat. So I was like, man, that took a while to get that. It took me 4 months of every day calling to have a good relationship with the brand. He approved me. We're on it, and then so. But there was just so many things that happened, like just cash flow issues and just so many things that you got like getting rejected, getting hung up on, getting like, you know, those type of things happen all the time. You just have to have the fortitude to go through it. So that's why the $10,000 will protect you, give you a buffer for a lot of those those things. It could be rejection. It could be bad inventory. Bad inventory hurts the most. They say psychologically that losing money, the chemical in your brain that gets released when you lose money is similar to the same chemical when someone dies. So people don't realize the effect that it has on them. They might, like, you might talk about it casually, like, yeah, I made a bad inventory buy, whatever. But like, it's no secret why that can cripple someone's business. Like, it's no secret. Like, if someone dies and your business goes under, like, no one would blame you. So it's like, it's the same thing. But knowing up front that that's what your brain is going to do, like, just manage your brain. Like, know up front it's going to happen. Have $10,000. Don't put it all in one place. Split that up over a couple of brands, and, like, just don't go all in on something. And if you're just starting, definitely don't go all in, because you're going to think the first good opportunity, you're going to want to go all in, but you're not that smart. I'm just telling that to you because that's what I would tell myself. Like, the chances are that you found something that is so great up front, like, it's not that probable. And it might be, but, like, don't go all in, because you still don't know what you don't know. Now, if you have somebody who's over here and they're able to ask you, like, hey, can you like check if this is a good thing or not, then that's good. That's different. And chances are that person will still probably tell you not to go all in, because they know that you still shouldn't. You definitely want to have that amount to get started, and you want to go all in. And by all in, I'm not trying to say if you have no money in the bank, or just 10,000 in your bank, the last 10,000 to your name, and you hate eBay and Amazon and arbitrage and thrifting so much. Like, I'm not going to be the one to tell you to just, neglect your wife and kids and everything to go do that. Now, if you're single, sure. If you're not, then, like, you should go all in mentally, and, be really good with structuring your day. Maybe spend 4 days a week doing wholesale and 2 days doing what you love doing. Spend the beginning of the week doing wholesale because it's harder. So at the beginning of the week, you want to use your strong mental energy on wholesale because it's new, and you could do retail arbitrage and all that stuff in your sleep. So you save it for the end of the week, probably Saturday or Sunday, because it's like you don't need any mental energy for that, or Friday or Saturday. Because if you have to go in between wholesale, retail, or you do both at the same time, there's a thing called context switching where people are not aware of it, and I wasn't aware of it earlier. Where when you switch from one task to the next, like, people don't realize that there's a lag of time between one task to the next, that just the level of focus just disappears. So the more context switching you're doing in the day, you're just wasting time and focus. And people who context switch all the time, it's about 70% of your time is wasted context switching. So if all you did, if you have 160 hours in a week, you sleep for 40 hours, you have 120 waking hours, and you're going back and forth between tasks, like, you're wasting 100 of those hours. You're wasting 90 of those hours. Like, people think, oh, I work 90 hours a week, I work 100 hours a week, I'm productive, #Gary V. Like, they think they're doing that but they're not, because they're context switching a lot. They're going back and forth. Like, just, if you could just do one, a lot of times people do that. And this is getting real psychological, and these are all things I figured out about myself, is because the moment you're doing something and something gets hard, like, your brain naturally wants to stop. Like, it either wants to go to an easy task, or you want to read a blog because you think that's learning. But, like, what you're doing, what was hard, that moment it got hard, is when you need to start thinking about it a little bit more, and that is the hard part. But people's brains automatically want to, like, suppress and do something a little easier. So they context switch, and then they get distracted. But distraction is not even what I'm talking about. It's just a switch. They switch to maybe, okay, let me check my sales, and then maybe look to add a new SKU or try to, like, source somewhere, because it's what they know. But then when they come back, they lost not only the time doing another task, but the focus was 70% of their time they just lost switching. So it's like, if all you do is block off Monday to Thursday, which is Monday to Wednesday through Wednesday to the beginning of the week, that is when your brain is at the highest level, provided that you took a Sunday type of break, or unplug time period on Sunday. Monday through Thursday is like, or Wednesday is like when your brain is absolutely the most highest level, and that's what you should be doing. And also, parts of your day, the first you know, 5-6 hours of your day is when you definitely need to just do the hardest task, which is if you're coming to a new business, like you have to do that. You can't save that new business for the end of the day. Like anything retail arbitrage based or anything that you know how to do, you save it for after lunch. After lunch, you get drowsy, you focus on that. That's how you should work your day. So those little productivity stuff,
I love it.
I didn't know those things back in the day. I was just white knuckling everything. I'm like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for feelings. I don't have time for psychology. I don't have time for all this. I'm just gonna work, check my sales. And all I did was check my sales, honestly. I don't think I did that much work. But yeah, so that's kind of the advice. I don't know, most people won't give that type of advice, but that advice I think is the most important thing to get started. Is like make sure you have enough buffer, and just make sure that you know, for the newbie, you block off those types of time, those time blocks to give yourself a chance. Otherwise, it's gonna be hard for you. You're going uphill.
Jonathan David, man, dropping more knowledge bombs than I could have ever imagined. I love the ending right there, going over the psychology. And I think a big takeaway from this video is, listen, if you're going to start a new business, regardless if it's wholesale or it's a pizzeria or whatever you're going to start, it takes a lot of energy. It's like a rocket ship. And most of the energy is going to come from the start, getting it off the ground. And when you're starting a wholesale business, make sure you're committed, make sure you're dedicated, make sure you're putting in the time at the right times of the day, the right times of the week, and you give it your all, because to be successful with anything in life, don't let people tell you that wholesale or starting any type of business, eBay business RA is easy. Nothing's easy. It takes hard work and persistence. And like Jonathan was saying, he felt like he was getting punched in the gut every single day. And I think that's part of being an entrepreneur and being successful. So love the insights. But Jonathan, thank you so much for coming on, man. This was so much fun. And believe it or not, man, it's crazy. Like, I could guarantee you your words are probably going to change like a lot of people's lives. So thanks for coming on, and thanks everybody for watching. If you enjoyed this, like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video. Jonathan, appreciate you, brother.
All right. Thanks, Steve.